Alright guys, where do I start this one? I rode off my 370Z. I actually crashed it this time. I don't even know what to say. I wasn't vlogging last night. I don't know why. I think I just was like, got to watch everybody compete and everybody's having so much fun, and you know, I needed to just go out and have a night of drifting myself without like filming and mucking around with that sort of stuff. I jumped in the Z. Immediately the car felt weird. Saito had a fairly big contact with somebody later in the expression session on the comp event, and the front of the car just did not feel right. I was in the pits all night just trying to work out exactly what was wrong with the front of the car. Couldn't work it out. In my mind, I just put it down to the sway bar hitting the lower control arm, and I ended up having coming down here pretty quick, and obviously I transitioned here and basically the car didn't come back, and I went straight here into the wall there. So they're my marks there, those black marks on the wall. So yeah, I crashed pretty hard. Like, I bit my tongue. My tongue's quite sore, and unfortunately the 370Z, I definitely think it's fixable, but she looks even worse now than she did before. But there's a lot of damaged stuff. We already mucked around with it last night and pulled a lot of the damage out, but she's still yeah, this is it. So she's not so good. Seems like the tower's back, everything's okay. I can tell that the quarter hasn't moved back, so I know that the tower and everything hasn't been moved back. This side's pretty much completely untouched. I think I scraped the end of the headlight on the wall. You can obviously see the front here where it ran down the wall. This was all bent up heaps more. The front was pushed in a lot further. We pulled a lot of it out. Yeah, so you can see the panel gap, other than here because the bonnet's come back and hit it. But your panel gap, everything seems to be all right from that perspective. Looking into the engine bay, my strut tower's not bent. The tower's back, but I mean the what do you call it? The bash bars, or sorry, the frame rails are not bent further back. So yeah, I think essentially what's going to happen is we're going to end up with a little bit of a tube front on this car. I think that's going to be the go. I've already ordered a new radiator. I've already been on the phone to the guys from GK Tech to see, to let them know that I'm going to be ordering some parts. Yeah, I guess the next thing is we're going to forklift this thing onto the trailer and get it home, start cutting some bits out of the way, taking the oil cooler that I just put on. I didn't document it, but the oil cooler that was here got broken when Saito had that bigger hit later in the night on the comp night. Obviously I didn't film the comp night, so yeah, that's not on there. But we had a situation where he hit someone kind of hard, smashed the oil cooler, and you know, he already broke a bunch of stuff in this corner, and I feel like something wasn't right in the suspension. Anyway, it killed an oil cooler. I put a brand new oil cooler on it, and it hasn't ruptured the oil cooler, but the oil cooler, the brand new one I just bought, has seen better days. So if you haven't already seen, we're doing a giveaway. Kansai wheels, grab yourself a sticker. I'll put the poster in here. So jump into loopfeet.com, grab one of those posters. It really helps with things like this when I F up and destroy everything. But yeah, let's get it on the trailer. I'm gonna hook my trailer up now, get that car on the trailer, wait for Coke to deliver the delivery that they're delivering, and we'll take it back home. I'm spewing too, guys, because I just put the Falcon up on the hoist, the XR6. I was about to get started on that build for you guys, but I really want this 370 running before the track finishes. And as you know, I'm going to the States on the 9th, and I get back on the 26th for the last 2 events. So realistically, I've got like a week to fix this car, and that means, yeah, potentially doing a tube front. I've already found front quarters. I've already found a headlight. I haven't found a bonnet yet. I'm going to try and buy a Nismo front bumper directly from Nissan. Other than that, I've already ordered the radiator. I guess it's just tube work and we can potentially be going again, and still sucks. Anyway, I'll look up a trailer. Big shout out to Nissan. 370Z, completely smashed to hell, still runs. No radiator, and yeah. What do you do? The only thing that's broken on the engine is just that little sensor there, which I have a spare of that sensor on my my other engine. So yeah, go ahead and strap it down. Sad day. All right, made it home. I have a sneaking suspicion my rack may have let go. My whole trailer is covered in power steering fluid. My power steering cooler and lines are all good, and my wheel didn't actually hit the wall. I hit the wall dead flat, so I didn't actually hit the wall with my wheel. I might have damaged the rack. That's because it felt like the front like binded up, and I was chasing issues for the front end all night. I'm gonna get up on the lift now. I'm back at the house. And I told you guys I had the Falcon up. I was about to start getting to work on that. I've got the Shockworks coilovers are here now for the Falcon, but she's gonna have to come back off the hoist so I can get to work on this 370Z. I was really hanging out to get the Shockworks and stuff in, but we'll get this 370 up on the hoist, have a look at the front, see what needs to be cut off, what we can do, and make a plan. Right, pulled the whole front off the car. Pretty keen just to dig right into this, and I think I found out why my front end jammed up. Kind of mad at myself for not checking it. I thought my issue was steering related. Well, it was steering related, but I thought it was something like binding with my steering. If you see here, sway bar is really close, and actually it hits a lot of the time right there, and I thought that was my issue. That wasn't my issue, which is something I never even thought of. I've lost a bolt out of my solid engine mount right there, so that was the clonking noise in my front end that was messing with my steering. Couldn't work out why. Why would, that's not something I would expect to mess with the steering. Of course, that's if the extractors don't smash straight into the steering shaft when the engine mount's gone, and that's what's happened to me. Fuck. I guess I'm probably lucky, you know what I mean? Like, Archie's not as high a speed, so, the crash I had wasn't huge. It was just sucky. Bloody hell. That's why I've gone in. I thought it was something steering related. I really did. Like, it is still steering related, but I didn't think it was going to be because the steering was jamming up on the freaking because the steering was jamming up on the extractors. That didn't even occur to me. And like, when I was driving the car, I could feel it, and passengers even I said, can you feel it? It's just crunching. Like, it was like a clunk, clunk, clunk thing going on. And I was two hands on the wheel, just manhandling it, just like, just trying to drive through the issue, thinking it's something to do with this area with the crash Sato had. And it's not. It's just simply the car's been getting thrashed for so long now. I guess we nut and bolted it the other day, but the engine mounts, I don't think we checked the engine mounts. So you can see, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's meant to be a bolt, a nut and bolt there, and it's gone. And actually the whole engine looks like it's shifted. It's actually over to the side, and you can see, I can actually see up in there where it's been hitting the heat shield. It's what a bummer. Like, I crashed this bad over a single bolt.
just shows, I guess, more nut and bolt checks need to be done. Even though we did nut and bolt check this thing, why are you near me? Wasp, go away. They're just something we didn't check. There's no one to blame. It's just one of those things that happens with drifting, and we just need to be careful. And what a bummer. So even though I did hit old mate's tire last night, I looked around to try and sort of find where I've got the puncture from. It looks like, if anything, I think the bash bars come back and got me. I definitely damaged my wheel tonight while, doing some door bashing on people. And I was actually rubbing against the homie's back wheels and stuff. It's probably a session I sort of filmed because I was sort of going pretty hard. But most of the time I was just really sweaty and underneath the car trying to work out what's going on with it and why it's sort of essentially breaking down. Well, not breaking down, why everything was just sort of jamming up on me and not really working out why. And yeah, this other tire here, I believe, punctured just from the, I'd say, oh yeah, there's a big tear in the sidewall there, would be from the bash bar. So I sort of got two ways I can go about this. I've wanted to rear radiator this thing since day dot. I just think it would be cool to rear radiator this car, just have the oil coolers and stuff in the front, potentially go hard on oil coolers, like get another second huge oil cooler in the front of this thing. I'm probably going to have to replace this one. You see this brand new oil cooler I just got. It's not leaking, I guess. It's probably fine, but there's a cover that goes over this that, I don't know, I guess I probably don't need to replace it. Like everything, it's still intact. It's just there's a cover that goes over here that makes it look pretty, like this side, which is missing now. So I probably don't need to get that. As far as it holding oil, everything's a-okay there. The fan's dead. That's no big deal. My power steering cooler is all okay. I haven't checked my pulleys, but I think all of that's okay. Yeah, everything looks all good there. I've got one sensor there, like cam angle sensor, that's messed up, but I do have a spare on my engine over there. So yeah, we just kind of need to make a decision whether we're gonna, like, we can go ahead and just get a front cut. We can cut from here and sort of cut there somewhere and just get a new this piece from another 370Z. And I kind of probably just straighten this piece. Like, this just needs to be bent back around. This rail itself looks fine. This bottom piece that goes on here is just a big alloy piece that bolts on. So we probably just buy one. And then the rest of it's just all like bits and pieces that hold the radiator support. But again, if I'm not going to put a radiator back in the front, if I am going to just go rear radiator, do I need to go crazy? All I really need is something to hold the headlights and the front bumper, and something to hang the coolers off, which I could basically build something off here, around here, to hold the cooler, and then chop this off here and here, and basically box section it out further, and then put a box plate across, and then build a bash bar off of that to hold the front bumper, and then just make some mounts to hold my headlights. It's obviously a bit more fabrication, but I do have, that's where the tube bender normally goes, but I've got the tube bender now. I have tube. Our fabrication's not $1 million, but I feel like it's something we can probably tackle. I guess at this point, my question is, should we go rear radiator? I have a full set of rear radiator hoses here, which I think will be long enough to go into this car because they're out of my S13. I'm pretty sure these are about the same length, if not shorter. We've definitely got room in the back of the 370 to run a rear radiator. So I've got all this room in the back of the car. We can definitely put a rear radiator in. My problem is we leave for America on the 8th, and today is April 28th. So we got 10 days. So in 10 days, can we tube front and rear radiator this car? I've already got a headlight for this side. I've got 2 front quarter panels. The bonnet, for now, I'll probably just straighten. It's not crazy bad. I think it's good enough to get us going for this last event of Archie we got coming up. So theoretically, We rear radiated this thing. We just make mounts for the oil coolers in the front here, just off of this, so it's a bolt-on piece. So we can literally just bolt it to their little thing across here, across the other side. The oil coolers heaps far back, nice and close to the engine. So they're sort of like heaps further back in case of another front impact ever again. I've got a Nismo front bumper on order. That's going to be here in about a week. Like I said, I've got the headlight. I've got 2 brand new front quarter panels coming. I feel like I'm going to give Stormy a call. I feel like rear radiator might be the go. Let me know in the comments down below, because I'm probably not going to make a full decision on that in this video. But I don't know, it seems logical-ish. I think we've got enough skill set to do it now. Obviously with help from friends. And the thing is, the tube front's going to keep costs down. The rear radiator situation in theory should keep costs down, because I've already got the expensive bit, which is the hoses and the piping. I'm going to need a handful of fittings to weld to the radiator. I'm going to have to weld a fitting to that, weld a fitting to there. So, you know, a handful of fittings and it will be pretty much under control. It's just, where do I run the hoses? Ideally, in this situation, I probably want to run them back through the car, maybe under the passenger side floor, just because these cars are kind of, it sits low, you know what I mean? I'm always banging the bottom of this car on stuff. So another thing I'm going to tackle in the future, near future with this car as well, that I've found out about, this whole fuel surge issue I have. Now, what I've been told is we can actually delete half the tank. They're a metal tank. You pull them out, you fill them with water, cut them in half, and then you just weld it. And you go from like, whatever it is, a 50 litre tank down to a 20 litre tank, but you don't have fuel surge issues or anything like that anymore. So that's another thing I'm looking into. I actually plan to bring this car home today anyway, because what I was going to be doing is fitting GK Tech rear knuckles. I think I told you guys about this. I'm going to open this box here. So I've got these awesome GK Tech rear knuckles that I want to put in this car. Probably not going to have time now before the last event, but these are a full-blown, whoa, crazy, like full-blown, like crazy bearings and everything, rear knuckle that can go into this car. Suits the dual caliper, suits everything in the back of this car, fixes up all the angles, should get me even more grip, which is super cool that I can potentially do all that. The good news is I'll be able to get onto the boys at GK Tech and let them know that the lock kit, which I did have a concern, I was like, man, like with the big hits it's copped, I thought something was binding in the steering, and there was just something wrong with the steering. Like with the lock kit, and I went through, I tightened everything, I made sure, you know what I mean? I really made sure. It just didn't even occur to me to check the freaking engine mounts. I don't know, why would you? It just didn't occur to me. So anyway, good thing is, I feel like we can fix this, you know what I mean? Like, let's not worry about all this crap. This is all just rubbish now. We can order a new GK Tech bash plate setup, which we can still put back under the car. Maybe when we do this piece around here, we'll just do some tabs off of something else that will come down to help hold the bash plate, because ultimately the GK Tech bash plate joins onto the front bumper and holds the front bumper up from the bottom, which is actually really good and really important. When this car was dead stock with dead stock Nissan stuff, at really high speeds, the bumper would actually bend and go into the front tires. So yeah, you run one of those big aluminum or aluminium bash plates on there, it stops the bumper from folding in, and that made a huge difference. So yeah, I guess the good is engine still works. I got one little thing I have to fix on the fitting, cam angle sensor I need to fix. We need to cut some chassis away, and I think we really just need to get started on a tube front. That's all there is for it. I could sit here, we can muck around, we can measure. I think all the damage is concentrated to about, I would say, no further than that crease there. We can cut him off right there. Same thing on the other side, just after that crease. So we cut, actually just back from that crease, I guess. So probably where that line is there. We'll plate it, box section across, like some big fat box section, nice strong stuff. And then again, then we'll build a bash plate off of that, can be bolted on, bolted off. And yeah, like I said, a mount from this section. This will be quite simple. Flat plate out, or box section out, flat plate across, mount some oil coolers. That's gonna make things really good. It's gonna give a lot of room to fit in the filters from GK Tech. I'll be able to filter, those filters will have a lot more room to breathe, less hot air to breathe. We're obviously going to be getting weight out of the front to the back. We're adding more water to the system. Being that now we've got a lot more room in the front, we may add another big oil cooler the same size as this one. So just have 2 huge oil coolers in the front of this thing, as well as the power steering cooler, because we've got that room now. I don't know, I'm going to call Frosty, run some things over with him. Maybe call Russ, give Russ a call as well, see what their thoughts are on the whole rear radiator situation. And I guess we'll go from there. Any advice, guys, leave it down in the comments. I'm fairly confident we can tackle this one. You've seen we're not the greatest fabricators in the world here, but we're giving it a red hot go, and I think this will be not only a fun project, but I think we could end up doing something pretty cool with the front of this car and making life somewhat easier as far as access goes. The rear radiator might make things a bit more complicated when it comes to bleeding the car and stuff, but ultimately with those water lines, we're adding more water to the system and just generally, in theory, making the car, you know, a bit more, even more weight to the back, so more grip, putting those rear knuckles in, getting more grip again. Not that we need all this grip with only a little NA VQ37, but yeah, let us know what you think in the comments down below, guys. I'm gonna leave it there for this one. Just sit down, have a good think about things, and yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. It's my 3rd big crash I've ever had. Yeah, I'm kind of not as mad as I was about it. I think we can fix this up and learn from our mistakes. Nut and bolt check, guys. I know I laugh about it. I often make fun about not doing nut and bolt checks and doing 100 drift days without checking. Ultimately, it's come back and bit me in the ass. So learn from my mistakes, nut and bolt check, so accidents don't happen, and jump onto lukefink.com, get yourself in the running to win those cans on a wheel, guys. Leave the poster here. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Peace out. Bye.